Hey, it's day off today, so I've just come in to tidy up and make sure that she's being fed. It's so nice and warm in here. Lots of people have asked me to make this video. It's all started around about this time last year. So this is going to be my honest opinion. This is not a review, so if you've just bought a brand new TV and you're hoping that I'm going to review it, it doesn't work that way. There are hundreds of reviewers on YouTube that take the TV out the box and look at them. Well, you'd expect the TV to work flawlessly out the box for at least the first year. So this has got nothing to do with that. This is going to be based on the TVs that I've had on the bench behind me that I have been repairing. In some cases, can't repair. And I'm going to give my honest opinion. I'm going to give you the top two to avoid, the top two that you really should buy, and we'll have a look at some middle ground. But before I get started, the most important thing, if you are buying a TV that's north of, let's say, £300, which ain't a lot of money these days, you need to make sure you're getting a warranty. If you're just going to go to one of those high street shops that just offer you a 1-year warranty and they won't even sell you a 3, 5 or 6-year warranty, then there's a red flag. You've got to start asking questions. If they want you to hand the money over there and then, and all they're going to give you is the 12 months and thank you very much, goodbye. Well, don't forget the 12 months warranty actually comes from the manufacturer. It doesn't come from the retailer. The retailer is then responsible after the first year. So many retailers on the high streets in the UK know this and they duck their responsibility. So just bear that in mind. The first thing you must do, if you're buying a TV and you want it to last for several years, if you want a TV to last 5 years, then please spend a little bit extra and get a 5-year warranty. It will really help you in the long run. So where do we start? Let's start with number 2, TV to avoid, the brand to avoid, based on the repairs that I've done here. And this is going to upset a lot of people, but it's Hisense. Hisense have now become the number 1 brand in the UK. They're reasonably priced, but they fail pretty quickly, normally. Now, every time I've done a video on Hisense and had a moan about it, and we've had plenty to moan about over the last 12 months, there's always somebody in the comments that said, well, I've had my Hisense 7 years. There's always the exception to the rule. And, of course, bear in mind, it always comes down to how many hours of TV that you watch. If you just have it on for an hour in the morning and a couple in the evening, then really it should last 5 years, probably more. But there are some people that switch their TV on at 7 o'clock in the morning and it probably doesn't get switched off until 1 o'clock the following morning. The problem with Hisense is for engineers, for us people, when they come in here to be repaired after they've gone faulty after 18 months, 2 years, which is ridiculous if that is the case, most of them can't be repaired, or engineers don't want to go anywhere near them because they've done their best to make sure that we can't get into them. They've taped the back down, they've put tapes on the screen, and if the backlights are failing after 2 years, then it just can't be touched. So do bear that in mind. If you're a light user, we'll talk more about this later, if you're only watching it for an hour in a day, then okay. And if you find one reasonably priced and you're happy with it, that's fine. But when they come in here and they can't be repaired, the customers get really upset about that, especially when it's failed after 18 months, 2 years. The number 1 brand to avoid, based on what I've been repairing, what I've been seeing, and the amount of times I've told customers that I'm sorry, but this is not repairable, is Samsung. I really don't know what's gone on with Samsung. Samsung used to be the best, and they are now the worst. This all started about 6 years ago when they started putting prism sheets in up very close to the edge-lit strips that light up the TV, and it burnt the prism sheets. So when the backlights failed, we would take the back off, put a new set of backlights in, but the picture quality was awful because of the prism sheet being burnt up. And you can't get the prism sheet. It's not available as a spare part. And these have been failing after 4 or 5 years, which is probably quite reasonable. But bearing in mind that it couldn't be repaired, well, that's an alarm straight away. They just go to the recycling centre. And that really is bad news after 4 or 5 years. But after that, we started seeing TVs with screen failures. Lots of them. Lots of Samsung, especially if your model number has got TU and AU in it. They're only about 4 or 5 years old. It's too early to talk about the BUs and the CUs, and we sell TVs and we've sold some DUs recently. On the surface, they look fine. But after a year or two is when we'll start to see them. So Samsung, I'm afraid, have really let the side down. Their last 5 years, maybe 6 years of TVs have really started to fail. They've not helped customers. They've definitely not helped engineers. But if you've had a Samsung TV that's lasted probably 10 years, well, that's because that's when they were made great. They really were. And parts of them are still available. And the screens are probably still lasting. So if you just need a circuit board or if you need backlights, that's no problem. But the ones that have been made over the last 5 years in particular, maybe 6 years now, they're causing a major headache for TV repair guys like myself, because there are parts in there that you just can't get. And you can't get a screen. Well, you can. But a screen is more expensive as a spare part than a new TV. So if you spent £600 on a TV, you can bet your bottom dollar that a screen is possibly going to be £700 plus VAT, plus fitting. It's never worth it. Sometimes it's worth it if you're claiming on insurance, but that's only for accidental damage. These are components that are just failing, and Samsung have gone from the best to the worst. So if you're spending north of £500, just be wary. If you manage to pick up a new Samsung that's got a 5-year warranty at a decent price, congratulations to you. You've done your homework, and that's exactly what you should have done. But at the moment, due to the last 5 years of the amount of Samsung TVs I've seen on this bench over here where she is right now, there have been some really upset customers. So Samsung, the number one. What about TVs that you should buy? Well, there's lots of middle ground. If you're going to the supermarket, you're going to see brands like Hitachi. You're going to see brands like Bosch, JVC, Philips. What else is in there? Toshiba, that sort of thing. As I mentioned, in the supermarket, you're going to get a 1-year warranty. You're only going to pay between £100 and £200 for about a 40-inch in the sales. If you're happy with that and you get 1 to 2 years out of it, then that's a good deal. That's fine. And if you're happy with those, just bear in mind, if you've been a Panasonic fan all your life, if you've been a Toshiba fan all your life, or you've always had JVC since the 60s and 70s, they're not the same. Those brands have closed down and they've been bought by some European companies who are just rebadging sets that have got no real part in it whatsoever. I did a video not so long ago about Panasonic TVs not having Panasonic parts in. If you are buying an original Panasonic, well, then you're going to be spending north of £500. You will get a good set. But Panasonic still not on my top 2 list of TVs to purchase. And don't forget, in a second, I'll tell you where you should purchase them if you're going to be buying a new TV for Black Friday or Christmas. So, number 2, it's going to be LG. LG are a good all-rounder. You can get the parts. Normally their TVs are built to last. They have several models. There's a reasonable price model. Again, between £300 and £600 for a reasonable size. Of course, if you're going big time and you're going 65-inch and you're spending £2,000, it's a different ballgame. The components that are inside that TV compared to a £199 LG, it's completely different. And I'm just going for the sets that are between kind of £200 and £600. But LG are a good brand. Quick caveat here, and this includes the number 1 brand I'm going to mention in just a second, OLED TVs. You've probably noticed on my channel I do very few OLED repairs. They are problematic. They still suffer with image retention. So if you've been watching a news channel that's got the news logo in the top right-hand corner, or a sports channel that's got the logo in the bottom left-hand corner, and you're using it an awful lot, that image gets stuck into the screen. They call it screen burn. It's not technically screen burn, it's image retention. And it becomes a pain. After a few months, all of a sudden you've got this sport logo. You've got Sky Sports when you're watching a news channel. There's no real answer to that. These TV companies have software to try and make it better, but it's not 100%. I've got a 65-inch LG OLED in my living room, and the screen burn started within 12, 14 months, and they won't help you. But LG are great when it comes to basic sets that you want to last for quite some time. And again, make sure you get the 5-year warranty. It really is paramount when it comes to buying electronics these days. If you're walking out the shop with just a year's warranty thinking you've got a bargain, maybe you have. But after 12 months, you may be crying. So LG, number 2. Number 1, and this is purely based on the amount of these brands that I don't see in this workshop. They don't come in. If any of them do come in, they've had a good run of 6 or 7 years, and it's, can you repair it then? I see very few compared to the other brands that I mention. But another caveat, they are probably the most expensive, and there's a reason why they're the most expensive, and you probably know who I'm talking about, but it's Sony. Sony makes some fantastic TVs. The picture quality is amazing. In fact, the one that you can see in front of Misty the cat there, that's a Sony. And the picture quality that I see on that compared to just about any other TV that comes in here is unreal. That is a beautiful 4K TV. And it's probably about 7 or 8 years old. And they are kind of built to last. In saying that, you'll probably see it switch off in a second because it has got a slight fault. But that's by the by. So number 1 is Sony. Again, Sony do OLED. Be careful. A lot of money, image retention. I'm just talking about standard, basic LED TVs, maybe mini LED if you want to go for it. OLED will cause you heartache after a couple of 3 years, unless you just don't watch these channels that have got the logo built in. But we all watch news channels, and we all see the lower third banners. They get built in. So that's basically it. Avoid Samsung. Avoid Hisense. And if you're going for something, look at a great LG that's non-OLED, and if you've got a bit more money in your pocket, go for a Sony. That's just based purely on the TVs that I've seen on this bench over the last 5 years. I see loads of Samsung. Really, I would imagine Samsung are 70% of the brand of TVs that end up on the workbench here and that come in on a daily basis. Sony, less than 5%. LG, we see quite a few, but the beauty with LG TVs is they can be repaired. The problem that we have with Samsung TVs at the moment, as I've already mentioned, is most of the time they can't be repaired. That's just based on a TV engineer, what I see on the bench over there, when I have to get my soldering iron out, when I have to order parts and fix it. So I hope that little bit of advice comes in handy and steers you in the right direction. Where to buy your TVs from? There are 2 places that I recommend. One of the places that I recommend, sorry I got a flashing camera light then, don't know why, that always do a 5-year warranty, well, that's going to be John Lewis. John Lewis just seemed to get some quality sets. Now, John Lewis probably sell very similar to brands and same model numbers that high street brands in the UK do. But for some particular reason, the ones on the high street always seem to go faulty after 2 years. I don't know. Make your own conclusions to that. I'm just saying, again, what I see on this bench. But John Lewis do a 5-year warranty with their TVs, and their customer service is really good. The last thing you want to do, if your TV is broken down and it's in warranty, you want to be able to make a phone call, speak to somebody, and for those people to say, yes, we'll help you, this is what you have to do. And I know they're good because we used to do John Lewis repairs, and they would call us, and the way they would talk to us was on behalf of the customer. John Lewis would always want to make sure that their customers were central, and they wanted to get the job done as quickly as possible. They never argued about the price. John Lewis would just phone up and say, we've got this TV, it's gone faulty, the customer lives not far from you, can you go and collect it, can you repair it, can you drop it back to them? Which is something that we used to do. So John Lewis do a 5-year warranty. But the number 1 place to get your TV from, and again, we've worked for this company, we worked for them for about 4 or 5 years, doing all their repairs. And they're a fantastic company. They look after their staff, which is paramount. They train their staff well. They are so customer focused, and they give a 6-year warranty with all of their TVs. And that company is Richer Sounds. Now, you may not have a Richer Sounds near you, The nearest one to where I am is it's about an hour's drive away. It's about 60 miles away. So, but they are online, and you can call them, and they will help you, and they'll post the TV, and it all arrives brand new in a box, and you just set it up. On a couple of occasions with Richer Sounds, when I've bought TVs from them to sell on to other people, the TVs arrived broken. We still have this problem in the UK of delivery drivers and delivery companies that just throw these boxes around and they don't care. I took ownership of a TV from Richer Sounds. I didn't check it out for a month, and then I sold it, gave the box to the customer. He told me the next day that it had got a broken screen. I got in contact with Richer Sounds. They didn't argue. Most people, when it comes to a broken screen, would say, well, you must have done something. You must have broken this. You must have dropped it. Richer Sounds, they didn't do that. They just said, awfully sorry, we'll get a driver next day to turn up, collect that box, and give you another one. And I think they gave me £50 credit to apologise. Customer focused. Maybe you've bought some audio stuff from Richer Sounds. I know they've got a great reputation, and still got a good reputation today. Hey, that's it. There's an adage which says you pays your money and you takes your choice, but the number one thing is do get a warranty. Probably 10 years ago we'd have said, no, don't bother with a warranty. It should last. You'll be fine. But 2024, everything's being made cheaper. Screens are being made cheaper, and we are seeing screens that fail. Hey, this video's gone on for 17 minutes. I said I was going to do it in 5 or 10, didn't I? I hope that helps you, but it's just advice from a TV engineer, and if it does help you, great. If it offends you because I've had a go at your brand, don't. If your brand is working well for you, fantastic. I'm so pleased. That does happen. But I'm talking from a TV engineer's point of view, the amount of customers that have said, what do you mean you can't be repaired? You can't get the parts. Have we got to go out and buy a new TV? It's shocking, and I hate it when I have to do that. And I don't like having a go and being negative with any brands, but there's a couple of brands that have caused TV engineers problems over the last 5 years, and I've just mentioned them. Listen to the advice, ignore it, or take it, and hopefully it'll serve you well. But thank you very much for watching. And if you are buying in the Black Friday sale, get a 5-year warranty every single time. Thanks for watching. Bye.